The technology of golden foil and Scotch tape has been lost to humanity, and this is why we can no longer go to the moon. According to Don Pettit, famous International Space Station astronaut, famously known for his didgeridoo renditions upon the International Space Station, recently came out and said that the technology for a trip to the moon was destroyed and it would be too painful to try to rebuild it. So instead, we should circumvent the moon and just go to Mars. But then he doubles back, says some other stuff. This clip that's coming up, listen to what astronaut Pettit says.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
What you talking about, mister?
But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons and exploration reasons, and then after that, Mars, maybe high orbit in Venus atmosphere, maybe going to Europa. There's all kinds of targets to go to, places of interest in our solar system. The only limit to human future is in our own imaginations.
So now it comes out, according to Don Pettit, we destroyed the technology, it would be too painful to build it back. Well, we may have destroyed the hardware, but how do you destroy technology? We're 50 years advanced in technology from then. It should be easy to make a Saturn V rocket. It should be easy to build a lunar lander. It should be incredibly simple to make a moon buggy, but yet we don't. And there's a very simple reason why we don't, and that is because we never went to the moon. We can't go to the moon. The moon is a light in the sky, and NASA knows it. They've been stealing our money for decades. They want to keep stealing our money. And so long as we let goons like Didgeridoo Boy here double talk us into believing that we can go to Mars, but we can't go back to the moon, is just crazy. People need to understand that we are in a world of liars, and it's all about money. They want the money. They can't steal your money if they don't give you a good story. And the space fantasy story is the one that has made them the most money from the very beginning. It's the best scam they've ever come up with. Makes the lottery look like grandma's bingo game. You know what I'm saying? Billions and billions and billions and trillions of dollars spent. And all we do is get Don Pettit playing the didgeridoo and explaining how we've lost ancient technology from 50 years ago.
Hello, I'm William Attlee and this is a news brief with truth. See the men on the screen. They are the ancestors of the African American, but there is a problem. Their true identity. Thomas McNeely has the story.
Well, William, the African American community is deeply divided due to the tagline, African Americans ain't Africans, which can be found in numerous places on the web. Now, it should be obvious as to why it's causing a commotion, but if it escapes you, let me explain. The current American education states African Americans were brought to America as slaves from Africa, which is simply not true. They are American indigenous, not descendants of Africans. As they say, the truth is stranger than fiction. Although this fact isn't spoken of openly, it's not a secret. However, with programming such as Roots, 12 Years a Slave, The African American Story, and the Book of Negroes, is it any wonder why so many African Americans are confused? We won't address all the misleading DNA tests being provided to connect African Americans to Africa. So, the argument is, do they continue identifying as African Americans, which is a fake identity for them, or embrace being identified as indigenous Americans?
Are there any consequences of choosing one identity over the other?
William, that's a good question. According to African Americans Ain't Africans Facebook forum, identifying as African American is to quietly relinquish ancestral connections to America, connections that go back hundreds of thousands of years. A curious story, but one appropriate for February, which is Black History Month in the United States.
What a conundrum. A story worth keeping an eye on for further developments. Thank you, Thomas. The drawing used in this presentation is from the 16th century book, America, being the latest and most accurate description of the New World by John Ogilvy and Arnoldus Montanus. As you may have guessed, the men in the drawing are American. I'm William Attlee and this has been a news brief with truth.
Let's just change the name as much as possible to throw you all off so you really don't know what's going on. Let's keep switching the identity to hide the people. Why don't we just keep renaming you? Are you Negro? Oh, no, you're not Negro. No, you're colored. No, 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 no. You're not colored. You're African American. And this is what they name you. The slavers name you this. Because I know a white guy who grew up in South Africa. And he now lives in America. He is an African American, and more African American than most.
To know your history is everything, no matter who you are, especially black, because you're constantly being told that you were nothing but a slave. You're a slave! You're Georgia! Slave!
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Иноземцы. Давай, не застаивай! Давай! Кто такие? Наемники. Шибче пошли! Шибче! Nie grab.
Czy je, czy ktoś stawi na chłopa?
Ja też. Myślisz, że ktoś pan przegra?
Bien, amigo. Bien.
Скажи гешпанцу, чтоб меня купил.
Скажу, отпусти.
Клянись.
Клянусь жизнью своей, всех, кто мне кровь дал и кому я кровь дам, отпусти.
Могу обмануть. Тогда сам свое барахло таскать будешь.
Я тоже рабом был. Я тоже рабом был. А теперь хорошо живу.
People don't know there was more white slaves in America than black slaves. So they came together one day and said, man, listen. And they overthrew the slave master in that whole area.
boys. Men ain't me. Oh, work this cotton. Work this cotton. Oh, work this cotton. Work this cotton. Oh, work ain't hard, boys. Work ain't
George, 180 pounds. Patsy. 520 pounds for Patsy.
That's my girl. Ormsby.
64 pounds.
Good day's labor would average 200 pounds.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure in time he'll develop as a picker. But it takes effort, boy. Put some damn effort into it.
Yes, sir.
Get your ass back in my house.
Gentlemen, I want your help. Congress has given me a sum of money toward the colonization of New Grenada in Central America. The land is rich and it is empty. If you choose, it can be filled with your people. On this broad continent, not a single member of your race is made the equal of a single one of ours. It is better for us both to be separated.
Mr. President, this is our country, too. Some of our families go all the way back to the very beginning. Some of our families go all the way back to the very beginning. Some of our families go all the way back to the very beginning. So why should we leave our homes to settle in some wilderness Congress has given you?
Turn down for what?
Virtually none of Thanksgiving has an ounce of accuracy, notes the bestseller Lies My Teacher Told Me. The idea of Europe bringing civilization to the Americas simply flips truth on its head. This is what European explorers actually found in North America.
Far and away the most beautiful city on Earth. 5 times the size of London or Rome. Great towers and buildings rising from the water. 60,000 gleaming houses, and how spacious and how well built they were. Of beautiful stonework and cedar wood, and the wood of other sweet scented trees. The many streets and boulevards of the city were so neat and well swept, despite the multitude of inhabitants, crisscrossed with a complex network of canals, like an enormous Venice, but also remarkable floating gardens that reminded of nowhere else on Earth.
While Europe was drinking water from its polluted city rivers, huge aqueducts transported America's water from fresh springs.
But what impressed most were the special merchant areas where timber and tiles and other building materials were bought and sold, as well as greengrocer streets where one could buy every sort of vegetable, fruits, honeys, nut paste and chocolates. Astonished by the personal cleanliness and hygiene of the colourfully dressed populace, and by their extravagant use of soaps, deodorants and breath sweeteners.
Most Europeans never bathed and kept clothes on at all times. The Pilgrim's Notes biographer Zini Feiner had a terrible smell. Indians tried, quote, without success to teach them to bathe. The settlers also had bad breath from rotting teeth. Death and starvation was so common that corpses were just dumped in open pits known as poreholes. Many turned to alcohol and committed suicide. In fact, the story of the first settlers has been deliberately changed, notes author James Lowen, because the truth is so shameful. They actually settled hundreds of miles further south and stayed in America because the mission was a failure. Their real aim, reports historian Robert Beverly, was to find some gold and take it back to Europe.
They spent their days digging random holes in the ground, haplessly looking for gold instead of planting crops. Soon they were starving and digging up putrid Indian corpses to eat. They took some Indian prisoners and forced them to teach the colonists how to farm.
And the meal with the natives wasn't quite the Thanksgiving shown on TV and in schoolbooks.
The colonists offered the Indians a toast to eternal friendship, whereupon the chief, his family, advisors, and 200 followers dropped dead of poison.
In mainstream history books, perhaps the most common description of American territory then is virgin land. In fact, notes historian Peter Jennings, it was widowed. Horrific enough, the Nazi ethnic cleansings in Europe during World War II. Leading American studies professor David Stannard notes it's dwarfed by, quote, far and away the most massive act of genocide in the history of the world. The death of 100 million indigenous people in the, quote, American Holocaust. Some from disease, but also vast numbers from a deliberate policy aimed at wiping out the race that mainstream history books continue to pretend never happened. He knows when Heinrich Himmler called the final solution, quote, delousing, Himmler was only echoing the Pilgrim Army's rallying cry, nits make lice, nits being Indian babies. This was a map of Indian nations across the US. 80% of the first government's entire budget went on attacking existing Indian settlements to take their developed farmland. The settlers would most probably not have survived, writes Jennings, on their own. 95% of America's entire population was then wiped out. American Holocaust notes there is documented evidence of colonist leaders going town after town, deliberately killing all men, women and children. Yet school texts and history books remain silent. Orders came from the very top. Under the direct order of George Washington, at least 28 of 30 Seneca towns and all the towns of the Mohawk, Onondaga and Cayuga were simply obliterated. George Washington wrote, the Indian country, quote, must be destroyed. Thomas Jefferson called to, quote, pursue Indians to extermination. Nobel Peace Prize winner Theodore Roosevelt called beneficial the eradication of the native race. Stannard notes genocide was official public policy. California Governor Peter Burnett in his 1851 message to the legislature.
Extermination must continue to be waged until the Indian becomes extinct.
Another governor issued the public proclamation to, quote, pursue, kill and destroy all Indians. A witness notes the ensuing bloodbath practically wiped out the native race.
The whites shoot them down like wolves, men, women and children, wherever they could find them. This war of extermination against the Aborigines is tending to the final extinction of the race.
What reportedly saved the race from extinction was their use as slave labor.
This extermination policy has proved so injurious to the interests of the whites. Indian labor is indispensable.
Highly prized slaves were Indian girls as young as 3, said the Marysville Appeal, for fulfilling double roles of labor and of lust.
Peace. Time this one. I just want to make a video on I'll make another video. I made videos before, but I'll make another video on this, on how Europeans are not indigenous to America. Okay. So, you know, you see a lot of videos of Europeans always telling people to go back to their country, you know, which they tell certain people who might be immigrants who might have just came here that or whatever. But when they start telling black people to go back to Africa, they don't have the slightest idea that the word American don't even refers to no European, because no European is copper color or Aborigine. So that right there automatically expels them, but they just keep on like, you know what I'm saying, insisting, like saying they're Americans, and they keep insisting telling people to go back where they from or whatever. So look, we know the Europeans, most of the Europeans got here in the 1900s, man. Most of them got here in the 1900s, man. And the thing about it is that, you know, they know this already. They know they just got here as well. But when they start telling Aborigines to go back home when we are home, you know, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, a lot of these Europeans came here in the 1900s. Look, here goes some of the images of it. See, they don't remember this right here. They don't remember this right here. They think they was always here. You don't remember you came here just like every other immigrant except the Aborigine, aka the African American, the one who you classified as African American. You understand? So you see, these people just got here. The majority of Europeans just got here in the 1900s. And you see, like, this is the immigration population in the United States. You see, in the 1900s, there was 10%, 13%, 13.9%, 14.2%, 11%, 10%, 9%, go all the way to 2000 to where you get 33%. So these are the different, these are, I guess, the overall immigrant population with Europeans included. But just for somebody they know they ain't indigenous to this land, for them to tell anybody to go back home. You understand? You know, y'all don't remember this right here, do you? Your family ain't never showed you. See, they don't show you this right here. They make it seem like this is the land of milk and honey, or this is the new world, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that killed me about a lot of these Europeans is they happy. They look at this like, they look at this, for the ones who say go back to your country, right? They look at it like this, right? They look at it as this is their home, and we was only brought here to build this country. But that's the reason why a lot of them give you mad feedback when they don't understand that you the Aborigine of North America. Now, we ain't no Mongoloid Native Americans. We are the Aborigines. We are the ones that's mentioned in, do I gotta go to it again? I guess so. Guess I gotta go to it again and show you guys. You know, this is what it's always gonna come down to, man. It's always gonna come down to this right here. And this is in 1828. You understand? So, you know, for anyone who wasn't here in 1828, this is what they was referred to as Americans. And then, like I said, that's 200 years ago. A native of America, originally applied to the Aborigines or copper color races. Now, I gotta constantly keep pulling this up. Oh man, like, you know, this is getting old, you know, but it's good for history. It's very good for history. You understand? Very good for history, especially when we dealing with a lot of these Europeans who think people ignorant. You know, so what do we see? We see copper color. Copper is a derivative of brown, as we noticed. And this is what's the results of when we look at a real penny, not the penny they changed and put all that zinc and all them other metals into it. But this is what we get. We get these images as well. And they telling you exactly what was going on. Now, for somebody to tell you to go back, when they got images like this, they showing you that it was black people here, but they don't want you, but we can't claim these people right here, even though the majority of us don't look like Africans. But we can say, oh, well, hold up, that person looked black, that person looked like he was already here, so why can't I say I'm part of that person? Oh, no, you can't be part of that person, because that person's an Indian, you're black, or you're African American. So because of these, they use these classification words. This is the trickery. They use them. That's why, do more science. That's why I learned the word, like when you're dealing with spelling, spelling is casting spells through words or whatever. So, you know, that's a spell. They cast spells upon you by calling you terms and thinking that you got to live upon these terms or whatever. So you see black people. These are not no white people. These are black people. Now you do see these people right here, which these people could either be Spaniards, some of the Spaniard tribes that might have came here, or some of the other tribes. But we see these people right here is secondary to these people, the real copper colored people. Okay, so now when you deal with these Europeans and telling you to go back to your country, just remember that Europeans are not indigenous to this land. They are not indigenous to this land, and this is their story right here. You understand? This is their story right here. This, at least this right here, this image right here is in at least the 1600s or the 1500s. You understand? At least we can prove that we was here way before you. And then you know, I'm sorry, I know I keep using these pictures, but at least it's showing these people where they wasn't. This is your ancestors right here coming here to the new world, because it wasn't new, because these people was already here. So how is this new? See, this is what make people sleep good at nighttime, by thinking there wasn't nobody here. So what happened to all these people right here? You understand? So when you see these pictures right here, Europeans, are you always saying that you indigenous somewhere, and then you look at the statistics of when you got here, and it tells you, like, they got jokes like this for you guys, since you telling people to go back to your land. But we got pictures of real explorers who came here and seen copper color, aka black people, in which you classify African Americans. And because we see obviously black people here, and it obviously says America right here, we can't say we part of these people, even though all of us don't look like Africans. You understand? We can't be part of them because we African Americans. We are told we from Africa, but yet we got images of people here already way before. Look, these are some of your ancestors from Europe right here, holding this cross right here, and these are my freaking ancestors. The one, this sister right here sitting on this alligator chilling with a parrot in her hand. This other brother right here, this brother right here, and this brother right here. And where are we at? We are in America, and this was way before any of you people ever came here. So you need to think about you telling us to go back to Africa. Now check this out. Look, see this image right here? You see this image right here? This is what it says. Look, Caucasus Asian, the Caucasus regions of Asia. That's it. It's not even Europe. The Caucasus regions of Asia. Do you see this right here? You see in America there was black people here already. You see in Africa there was black people. You see in Malaya there was so-called, what you want to refer to them as Aborigines, and all around the world. And you see in this one territory right here, we got Europeans, Caucasus Asians, which are the same as these people right here. You understand? These are your ancestors right here who came here, that always tell these people right here. They always tell this man right here. You see the black man, the one they call American? This man right here always tell this man right here to go back to here. Do you get it? Okay, let me do it again. This man right here always tell this man right here to go back to here, when he is indigenous to here. You understand? You see, now look, this is how simply we can solve this. It's simple. It's not hard to solve. It's not a mystery. This is not like this is simple common sense, okay? This is simple common sense. This man right here, which is the Caucasian, they say Caucasian, okay? He always tell this man right here, the black man, that's the American, the only one they referring to as American. Behind him, you do not see a bunch of other races of people when they saying American. When you look at the definition of America originally applied to the Aborigines or copper color races found here. That's why, listen, I can solve this in a couple of different pictures. I don't even need to go and show you no statistics along with the pyramids here, along with all the images of the Aborigines they took back to Europe. They all look like this man. So how can this man, this man right here, the Caucasian, who came here, obviously, let's go to some of these graphs. That obviously came here, the majority of them came here in the 1900s, tell this man who's home to go back to here. So, man, listen, I just wanted to make a video. It's just funny to me when you look at it, you know, look, see these people right here? These are Aborigines. These are my ancestors right here. They might not all be connected to me, but at least these people was already here, and they claiming that they Indians, and they think they Indians. Then guess what? You see this right here? It says America. This is not a European. This is not a. Why is this not a European? Why is they calling this sister an American that look just like a black woman? Why is this not a European? Since you always telling us to go back home, why is this not a European right here? Why is this a black lady? Oh, this is a drawing. Somebody drew this just for the hell of it. Somebody just drew this. Somebody just said, you know what? Let me draw a picture of a black woman with a damn, I guess it's a goat or whatever. You know what I'm saying? A cow or calf or whatever with a bow and arrow, with bow and arrows on the back, and these same feather crowns in which we see in Europe. Okay? I mean, I ain't got to pull the pictures up, man. I didn't did enough of this, man. You know. Where's these people coming from with telling you to go back to here when you was already here? When this man is not from here. He's from the Caucasus regions of Asia. That's why you see these pictures right here. And they show you the statistics, man. The statistics is obviously, man. It's obvious, man. Statistics is obvious, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. I think it's something right here. Let's say average annual flow 176,983. So this is what it's saying. This is the average flow from 1907. So for, you figure 7 years, they brought a million people over here in 7 years. It's an immigration from other countries, principal Southern and Europe and Eastern Europe. I ain't looking at that. We're looking at these right here. So as you can see, most of Europeans came here in the 1900s. So if we got images of this man back here, this is not a picture from the 1900s, obviously. So if we got an image of this brother right here, we can expel this brother. We ain't gotta even worry about him because he looked just like him. The only difference he just got a fro, and this brother right here rocking his hair like the brothers in North America do. Okay? But we know that this guy right here is not from here. Because they showing him here. They're not showing no Chinese people. They're not showing no Indian people. They're not even showing no Spaniards. They showing a copper colored brother who looks just like an African American in America. But the spell is that you are from here. Even though they got a man who looks just like you here, they keep on telling you from here. So you already know how we do this, man. I am the Thompsons for Modern Hit Peace.
Thomas Jefferson. You all know him? Yes, he's one of my favorite people, actually. I close out my book with a soliloquy from Thomas Jefferson. I actually end my book with it. Because Thomas Jefferson made a statement. Here's a man highly regarded in the United States. I mean, there are more statues of him than probably anybody. And he made a statement towards the end of his life. He says, "Indeed, I tremble for my country when I consider that God is just and that his justice cannot sleep forever. You see, it haunted him to his grave because Thomas Jefferson knew. He knew what would happen. Matter of fact, he predicted exactly what we're dealing with today, what happened between people of African descent and those of European descent. Predicted it. He was a bright man. How do you reconcile behaving in such a barbaric way? Well, let's see what he said. He said blacks smelled bad and were physically unattractive. Well, this was inconsistent with his behavior because, you know, he fathered slaves, Sally Hemings. So they didn't smell that bad, huh? Now, here's a more important one. He said we required less sleep. Now, that one's more interesting to me. Why would he need to? What dissonance was he feeling that he would need to believe that blacks required less sleep? Why? What did he do? You know, he owned slaves. So what do you think? How hard do you think he worked them? What was a work day for a slave? Sunrise to sunset. But do you have any empirical evidence, Joy? Can you prove that? Because you know, if you can't write, you know, count it and measure it, it didn't happen in European culture. Is that correct? Got to count it and measure it. How many of you have measurable objectives? Measurable outcomes. You better measure it. I don't care if you tell them. Can you tell your boss really, truly, at the end of the year, we're doing better now? I've been to work every single day I've watched, and I can guarantee you we're doing better. Is that going to fly? That would be no. That means you have to count it and measure it. And if you didn't count and measure, it didn't happen. So when you start looking at the notion of requiring less sleep, that's an interesting thing because I have to believe if I work you that hard. And boy, I got humbled when I found out how hard folks worked in the sugar plantations. Ooh-wee, I got humbled by how hard folks in the Caribbean were worked. But what I decided to do is I looked at the Library of Congress. Most of my work over the 9 years that it took to write the book, 6 years of that was research. The other part of it had to do with doing interviews of elders and reading slave narratives, and there are thousands of them. This is just one taken from the Library of Congress. Sarah Gudger from North Carolina wrote, "Never known nothing but work, never knew rest, felt like my back was going to break." This is the gospel truth. Then I looked at what happened in the sugar plantations, and this was amazing. One final set of grim numbers underlines the way slaves on sugar plantations like Codrington, it was a plantation in Barbados, were systematically worked to an early death. When slavery ended in the United States, slaves imported over the centuries had grown to a population of nearly 4 million. When it ended in the British West Indies, total slave imports of well over 2 million left a surviving slave population of only about 670,000. More than twice as many slaves were shipped to the island of Jamaica alone than all 13 North American colonies combined. The Caribbean was a slaughterhouse. In fact, the reason why there was more importation of slaves to these plantations is because they died so frequently. They were treated so badly, ate so poorly, that females never reached their menstrual cycles. They never actually started their menstrual cycles, so they couldn't reproduce, you see. And so many of them died, they had to import more. That's how treacherous was, you lazy black folks that you are. Isn't that ironic, though? What's so ironic is black people run from the shame of feeling like they're perceived as lazy. I mean, I live with that so much that when I would go to hotels, I would leave it cleaner. Because your mother, everybody's mother taught you, leave it cleaner than you found it. So black folks are so hypersensitive, I was cleaning up the hotel room. Because I wouldn't want anyone to think I'm dirty, right? Now, other people in the audience that are of color, how much harder did your parents tell you you had to work to get to even? How much harder? You had to work twice as hard. Now, how come I knew that about you? How come I knew that? Think about it. And yet, at the same time, white people think we're lazy, you see? But we're so hypersensitive because of the shame. Right? And then our ancestors will work to death. To death. Recently, they unearthed the slave cemetery They unearthed actually a slave cemetery in New York City. It's on Wall Street, by the way, in the shadow of the bull. Unearthed a slave cemetery, and they still to this day they're struggling. They recently, have done a lot in terms of commemoration. I went to it took me everything to get to it. They had it blocked off so you couldn't get to it, but because they didn't want to deal with it. You can't just bulldoze a cemetery. So here in all these skyscrapers in the middle of it is this little cemetery, and there's slaves in that cemetery. More important than that was what the bones told us, because now you got CSI. Hell, I can go in there and tell you what's going on now. So with the CSI thing, now they've discovered a little bit about the bones. And to me, the most phenomenal thing about the bones is what they told us about those people and how they live. Majority of the people in there were children, infants and children, high mortality, infant mortality rate. They even know what they died of. Died of malnutrition and starvation, because they could tell by the rotting of the teeth and the jawline. So even though they most likely grew food, they weren't allowed to eat it. And then they found something even more peculiar that speaks to this idea of why he believed we required less sleep. They would show a large frame man, and they would find an injury where the muscle actually detached itself from the bone as a result of exertion and not injury. Stay with me. It detaches itself from the bone as a result of exertion. That means you work so hard, the muscle detached itself from the bone. You don't see those kind of injuries in contemporary society because no one's going to work that hard. Unless, of course, you have a gun trained on you from sunrise to sunset. So we do have empirical evidence of how hard folks worked. Then he went on to say that we were dumb, cowardly, and incapable of feeling grief. Why would Thomas Jefferson need to believe that? Why would he need to believe we didn't feel grief? What was he doing, do you think, that produced cognitive dissonance? You were killing people? Not only were you killing people, beating them, you were selling them, yes? Selling mothers away from their children and husbands away from wives. And surely they don't feel it. Because if they felt it, that would make them human like me. So I simply say, and you see, it's not even so much that he said it, but he was an important person. If Joe Nobody said it, but he said it. So what do you think the rest of the folks, uneducated laborers, believed? Well, they don't feel grief, After all, Thomas Jefferson says they don't. So he becomes a critical person in making those statements. But you see, it was all to relieve and to settle the conscience that he died with. But these become very important as you see how these things move forward.
The history books have glorified Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation for freeing slaves. But if we're being real, it only applied to slaves who lived near Union lines, where they could flee his or her plantation or take advantage of opportunities in the North. Around 500,000 black people managed to do this. These black people freed themselves. Juneteenth, or June 19th, is a powerful moment in black history, dating back to June 19, 1865, the day Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger went into Galveston, Texas, with news that the Civil War was over and Texas's 250,000 slaves were now officially free. Yes! 1865, that's a whole 2.5 years after Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. In those 2 years, black people's newfound freedom was rejected by white people. But General Granger bossed up and issued an order to the people of Texas, proclaiming all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. And the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. And Juneteenth was born, our Independence Day, our July 4th. Of course, it wasn't black and white like that. We weren't free. They just announced it. This new freedom sparked a violent backlash from white people. Surprise! Former Confederate soldiers, still in uniform and with guns, intimidated black people, continuing a new form of slavery. They did this by murdering, lynching, and harassing the freed slaves. Hashtag Reconstruction era. But we are a resilient people. None of their intimidation tactics could stop our ancestors from accepting and celebrating their freedom. And they celebrated defiantly, because you know white people were hating. The first public Juneteenth event took place in 1866. Former slaves read the Emancipation Proclamation, something pretty gangster to do in the 1860s South. They also sang spirituals and played games. The freed men and women of Texas took their celebrations wherever they went. Los Angeles, Oakland, Seattle, Chicago, Virginia, you name it. By the 20th century, the Jim Crow laws were in full effect. Freedom started to feel like a foreign concept, and Juneteenth celebrations didn't happen as often. But the fight to freedom had to continue. The Poor People's March of 1968 brought new life into the holiday. In 1980, Texas recognized it as a state holiday. And in 1997, Congress recognized June 19th as Juneteenth Independence Day. It's been over 150 years since the first Juneteenth. Isn't it time Juneteenth became a national holiday? It could be the blackest holiday ever. Barbecues, music, dancing, a celebration of being free black men and women. June 19th is not just about freedom, but the fight of our ancestors, the determination, and the consideration that one day their children, their children's children, and their children's children's children would be free.
After 14 years and 20 days of speaking with U.S. officials, activists, and families of people killed by police in major American cities, a United Nations working group is getting into the fray on U.S. racial discrimination. The group has reached the conclusion the slave trade was a crime against humanity and the U.S. government should pay reparations. A French member of the working group of UN experts, Muriel Fanon-Mendez-France, said after their meetings in the U.S., contemporary police killings and the trauma it creates are reminiscent of the racial terror lynching in the past. The UN experts traveled to major cities including Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Jackson, Mississippi, Chicago, and New York City. Several years ago, both the U.S. Senate and House, in separate bills, apologized for slavery and Jim Crow legislation, but were divided over the issue of reparations. The bills were never passed as law.
Welcome now, Dr. Claude Anderson.
Thank you very much. And to my colleagues, let me say good afternoon to you and plus the members of the audience. According to John's letter, he indicated to me that he wants me to speak to develop a national plan, and John, that's what I'll try to do for you very quickly. But let me preface that by simply saying that if you hear about reparations, get this very firmly fixed in your mind. You're not here for a parlor discussion. It's not something to talk about that's nice. If you don't get reparations as black folk, you're through in this country. Let me be that very specific for you. You see, what's happening to black Americans is that black Americans have been systematically, socially engineered into the lowest level of a real-life monopoly game. You do not own and control a sufficient amount of anything to be competitive in America. And you've been marginalized now for 400 years. You're getting ready to be buried. You can get buried underneath a whole broad groups of ambiguous groupings. That's everything from culture groups, language groups, and gender groups. You're going down. It's no longer an issue. You better get reparations and get it fast. Now, to get reparations, one of the things I've been trying to do now for 30 years, beginning with the state of Florida, when Governor Rubin Askew put me over education, when they had no blacks in politics in Florida, was to write the first affirmative action plan in the United States, and that was written to be reparations for black folk in 1971. And George Bush Jr., I guess, Jed Bush just killed it off about 6 months ago. But what's happening now is that what I'm trying to do is create a Harvest Institute that would try to take all my colleagues here and as much as possible try to give you new points of information to take you outside the box. Part of the problem we got in trying to deal with reparations, a lot of the other racial issues in the country, is that we keep trying to think and find solutions inside the box. There are no solutions inside the box for black folk. You got to get outside and try to find them and get a long-term perspective and a long view on it. And that's what the Harvest Institute is in existence for, and that's what they're going to stay in existence for. Now, the reason you cannot win, as I said, is that you've been locked into this low level of a real-life monopoly game. You do not own and control enough of wealth. See, in 1860, for instance, black folk, as a direct result of slavery, had an ownership. When you were 98% slaves, you had an ownership of 1/2 of 1% of this nation's wealth in 1860 on the eve of the Civil War. Now, this is the richest country in the world, the most capitalistic country in the world. And here you are 140 years after slavery when you're supposedly 100% free and you still only have 1/2 of 1% of this nation's wealth. You cannot compete. The typical average white person in America has 3,500 times more money than you have. And that's not true only of blacks in America, it's true of the world internationally. What's happening right now is blacks is a marginalized, subordinated class of people all over the earth. You have 1/2 of 1% of the wealth in this nation. The same thing is true all over the world. In the world, there's approximately $392 trillion worth of wealth on the earth. And black folk around in the world have less than 1% ownership of it. That includes all the African countries, that includes Brazil, Caribbean, and America. You don't own enough control of anything. Whites control almost 100% of all the wealth, power, resources, privileges, and controls of all levels of government. You're playing a game you can't win. You got to get reparations. Now, how are you going to get it? Let me run through 3 or 4 things very quickly because I don't want to take up the time here. First thing you must do, I've heard it mentioned already, we got to commit a national campaign all over this country to start publicizing the issue of reparations for black folk. Not as something nice, but as a necessity, period. That means every living soul, every organization, every institution in this country must begin to start promoting reparations for black folk all over this country. That's level 1, is a massive, massive promotion of reparations for black folk. Second level, level 2, what we must do at second level 2 now is to start having facts-finding hearings. You must have facts-finding hearings all over this country. And you're going to have facts-finding hearings on at least 2 different levels. One is you're going to go after facts finding about what roles governments have played in the reparations, in the slavery trade against black folk, and enslavement of black folk, the marginalization of black folk. And that should break down into 2 levels. One is to investigate all levels of domestic governments, that's city, county, federal, and state governments. And the second group would go after the international. So you should have 2 groups of black folk in this country exploring and fact-finding on what roles government have played, one domestically and one internationally. On the left-hand side, you should be doing the same thing for the domestic side. You should be going after the private sector. You should be going after all the private corporations in the United States, what roles they played and how they benefited directly from slavery. And also, on the same side, you must go after all the international corporations and the roles they played and how they benefited. Now, the Harvard Institute right now, my think tank, we've already picked up one. We put out a press release on that. We're going after the domestic role that major corporations played in the United States. We've already identified approximately 240 companies that are still in existence that profiteer directly and enrich themselves off of black folk. We're going after that. And what we have to do in our fact finding is be able to factuate, document. There are direct line between how blacks have been crippled all the way up to economically, politically, socially, and educationally, and tied into these major corporations or tied into levels of government. That's your level 2. Level 3, you must then start having a national convention in this country. And right now, I think Dorothy Tillman in Chicago is already, we talked about this. She's going to try to call one in Chicago this coming year. We must have everybody who's playing a role, like Congressman Conyers and everybody from the Congress, and Cobra, everybody should be at a national convention where we all come in there to not only energize each other, but to share information, see where we are. They're trying to set it up for this coming February, someplace in the United States, possibly Chicago. That's your 3rd level. The 4th level you should start doing is trying to get into, out of this conference should come strategies and plans and a specific role model. You got to have a model that every black can tie into. A model for reparations. Now, my model's a little different from everyone else's, and that's because I'm outside the box. I'm trying to pull everybody else outside if I can get them. Now, most people are going to try to follow the Jewish reparations model or the Japanese model. I'm following the Indian model. The Indians are the most appropriate model if you want to track down, doing anything to get reparations of black folk. Why? Because you see, only American Indians and black folk were spelled out in the Constitution. The Indians on reservations and black folk. There's a direct lineage between those 2 groups. And if you really want to track and get reparations, the easiest and quickest way is to go find out what happened to American Indians, what benefits they got, and track it. In my new book called Power Numbers, it takes you through every one of those steps. You can follow it. If you pick that up, you can come right to reparations very quickly, because it'll be very difficult for the government to deny black folk for the same thing they're giving the Indians. So when you hear people talking about how bad off Indians are, first thing you say, fine, if Indians that bad off, put us as black folk in the same status with the Indians. We'll take that. Because see, right, what Indians got, first of all, nobody declared Indians to be a nation. Indians declared themselves to be a nation. They declared themselves to be a nation all the way up to about 1832 when Supreme Court Justice Marshall said, okay, I'll recognize you as a nation. We never declared ourselves to be a nation. We've always tried to do just the opposite of what the Indians did. Once they became a nation, they drew up a constitution for themselves. We never had a constitution. And what the Indians did with that constitution is then to go to the United States government and say, we do not want to integrate. We did just the opposite. We integrated. And I can track everything right down, or we can follow the Indian model if you want to. And you can see, and all that's already built into the law, and there's a direct lineage between American Indians and black folk that you can follow very easily and get to reparations. But we need to have a model. And in my new book, I get that model to be on the stand in about another month. You get the Powernomics model that will take you through all those steps of what they did throughout history, from the Blair Amendments and everything else. You can track them very easily, and it'd be very difficult for the United States government to deny you reparations when you only two people that have a constitutional relationship with this government is black folk and Indians. Just like Indians use what they call natural rights and lay their claim against the land, we should use natural law and lay a claim against our labor, misappropriated labor. The next level what you must do is move to a legal step. You need to form at the fourth level, get you a legal body right now, whether it's going to be pro bono or paid. And out of our convention, we should be able to raise some funds to set up a mass legal body that'll be ready to start serving suits based on those facts that you're going to find at the second level. And when you start to find those, then we should have people going after suits. One side suing the different levels of government, other side suing the private sector to get reparation funds for black folk. Then at the last level, you need to set up, at the sixth level, you need to set up some kind of a pool, or resource, or retrieval agency that every time we get some benefits, we're going to a special fund that will be held for pooling and aggregating. Now, then out of that special agency, we break away into two groups, what I would recommend. One, you would have an economic development bank on the East Coast and an economic development bank on the West Coast. And what those banks would do is take most of the money you get and not give it to black folk as individuals. You put it into a massive bank where black folk can go draw that money to start low interest, get low interest loans or free monies to build businesses and industries throughout the United States. You also, if you track the Indians, you should try to get yourself some tax-free or tax-exempt land. Just like Indians can go grab any piece of land and federalize and put up a casino, you tell them you ought to do the same thing as a black person, get tax-exempt statuses. We can go on and on. Well, there's a lot of things we can track. Go after the Indians. But the thing that's most important, I'm going to quit, is that you got to understand that reparations are an absolute necessity. We're going to get buried alive. We do not have enough to be able to compete in this society. And the further we get away from the civil rights movement, the worse things are going to get. And when people start talking about slavery, don't just talk about slavery. Talk about Jim Crow slavery and benign neglect. You got to understand what slavery was. Slavery is the illegitimate child of racism. Racism still exists. That's slavery. Because what racism does, racism keeps and maintains what was created by slavery. Now, racism is a competitive economic struggle between groups of people for power and wealth. And it's slavery, and racism never existed until the 16th century. And when slavery went out of existence, racism took over. Racism has gone from meaning slavery to being something biological. Then it moved on in about the 1800s. It turns to be something as a personal behavior or an attitude, and now a bias and a prejudice. Racism has nothing to do with attitudes, with prejudice, and with bias. Racism is a competitive group contest between people for race, resources, and for superiority. And racism is a race without a finish line. I thank you very much.
Because we have been deceived. We have been told we are in a democracy where everybody is equal. The truth and the reality is that we are in a system of racism, white supremacy. See, we're told that the system of democracy has imperfections. No, we are in a system of white supremacy that has been perfected. And that's why we keep staying basically in the same position. And as long as we don't understand we're dealing with a system, every week we just complain another black man has been shot, another black man has been killed. You say, oh, 10 over there, 3 over there. Oh, well, let's add up the statistics and somebody will run and complain about it. But if it's happening over and over again, that implies intentionality. And if the system is about white genetic survival, who is the enemy of the state? No. The black man. See, in a war, if you can take care of the business as defined, the problem is white genetic survival. So what do you have to knock out in order to not worry about white genetic survival? Exactly. The attack has to center on the black man. Now, years ago, in the 1970s, I was teaching at Howard University College of Medicine, and I would have Neely Fuller lecture every Monday night from 8 until 1 o'clock in the morning. And it would be students and people from the community. And Mr. Fuller used to talk about the system of racism, white supremacy, is going to have black men wearing dresses. And now this is 1970, about 72, 73, and that sounded so far out. Nobody, you know, what's he talking about? What has recently happened at Morehouse College? The president of Morehouse College had to announce and lay down the law that the black male students, those who were so inclined, could not wear high-heel shoes, could not wear dresses and carry pocketbooks. Now this is 2010. That if the system, see, in other words, we have to keep system about white genetic survival. This is what the system is about. And the system is working 24/7. If I turn the black male into a female, can I relax about the fear of white genetic survival? Absolutely. Now, I don't know what goes on here in New York. Haven't been here in a while. In D.C., we have a lot of men with their pants hanging down. In the train station, when I bought my ticket to come here, there's a black gentleman, had on some expensive clothes, had some nice luggage. His pants were down here. So he would pull the luggage like this after he got his ticket, and then he'd have to stop. Walk a few more steps. Wow. See, now, in other words, imagine somebody looking down from another galaxy or planet. You see, in other words, psychiatrists' behavior, all behavior has significance. You just have to understand the context and the power that is controlling it. Do you see what I'm saying? So, to understand what is happening, because what are we told? 70% of the households are without fathers. Read a book recently where a young black man is talking about having gotten into some difficulty doing a carjacking, carrying a gun at 16. And he said in the book, I had to go to prison to find my fathers. He said, fathers. He said, in prison was the first time he had an opportunity. Now, he didn't consciously put himself in that situation, but looking for fathers. I had a black male child say to me, you know, somebody brings a child to the psychiatrist because he's not studying or something. I had one child say to me who was about 10 or 11 years old, Dr. Welsing, I think I could do my homework if I just had an official father. Now that makes the psychiatrist want to fall under the desk and start crying. I had another child say, if I had a father, he could at least have taught me what goes on under the hood of a car. I had another child. All these children are brought into the psychiatrist because somebody says, teacher, principal, they're smart, but they won't do their homework. Or they won't study. This child came and I said, sweetheart, don't you want to work hard in school? This was years ago. So you can help black people. And this little boy said, no. He wasn't being smart alecky, he wasn't being rude. And I said, you know, the psychiatrist wants to hear the child say yes. He said, no. And I said, why not? He said, if you try to help black people, you're going to be killed. Now this is a little black child, around 11 years old, said Malcolm X, George Jackson. I said, IQ 265. If you try to help black people, you are going to be killed. Was he right? That's like President Barack Obama has had more death threats than any president in the history of the United States. You see, because just that presence of a black man in the White House, like I think a lot of white people who initially voted for him wanted to appear liberal. You see, but once he's in that White House, and a black man with a black wife, and a black grandmother, that's the whole package. They begin to understand, oh my God, if he's in power, and not only that, the reception that he receives all over the non-white world.
If I feel it's denigrating, I won't do it. And if I feel that I'm going to do it, then I'm going to do it to the best of my ability.
Lear had just the project for Esther's abilities. He, Michael Evans, and writer Eric Monty began to develop Monty's The Black Family script, but they soon reached a creative impasse.
One note that I got every meeting was, you got to get rid of the father. A strong black man is not funny in a sitcom. And I was in the no, we got to have the father.
Despite some misgivings, Lear took the script to Esther role. The actress agreed to star in The Black Family under one condition. The father had to stay in the script.
I introduced the black father to this country. There never had been one in the whole of the country. And I risked my job by saying I won't do it unless you give me a husband for my children.
About us, about things that are supposed to keep us safe. I'm not here to tell half-truths. I am not safe. The people that look like me are not safe. And the fact that we can't say it, the fact that I have to come up here again, recognizing all of this power and privilege, and tell you that I deserve to be safe in a place where Y'all are paid by the community you represent. But I want to know, if y'all don't look like me, why aren't you doing a better job of representing me? That's what I need to know. And at the end of the day, no answer other than, you're right, I hear your pain and it's valid, is reasonable. But the reality of white supremacy is that it doesn't ever tell us that we're right, we're valid, and that we deserve to be safe. And that mixed with privilege equals murder. And we know that's real because of the empirical evidence. Now again, I'll tell you, like I tell people every single day, I don't care who you are, but if you don't care about me, tell me so that I know, so that you don't kill me while I'm walking away. Tell me that my life matters so that the people I go to throughout the day, I can convey that. That our city, that our local government and our police force are doing things to help us. And this is what they're doing. But I'll tell you that there is no piece of paper that doesn't involve black folk, black and brown, queer and trans folk, that is going to keep me safe because of the lack of depth that was in that mug, and you know it. I am here and I've been here. We are here and we've been here. And it's not okay. It's not okay when y'all don't show up to things that involve black people. It's not okay when you don't listen to us when we say we need you. It's not okay to show up and be compassionate bigots. It's not okay because we deserve more. If I was a white, straight man, y'all would listen to me way more and way sooner. And we know that. But I'm not, and I'm scary, and I got braids, and I got muscles. So y'all are more likely to call the police on me than to listen to me. I'm dying. Do you hear me say I'm dying? I get death threats. I'm dying. We're dying. But we can't say Black Lives Matter. The city commission should be the first people to say that since we value diversity and justice, this is why we're releasing statements that say Black Lives Matter, and we'll do it every day. Because every hashtag that I see kills me more, and it gets closer to Lawrence. But let's not get it twisted. It's always been here. We got to talk about Tiger Dowdell, right? Let's talk about some real history. This is not a game to me, and this is not an educational session. Y'all are the city commission. You are the police chief. And I shouldn't be the one teaching y'all. I shouldn't be the one teaching y'all about marginalization or oppression throughout all the intersections. Just because it wasn't taught in the school that we grew up in doesn't mean that we should never learn about it. I'm going to tell y'all every time that I see you that I am willing to do anything to keep people safe. Anything. For any y'all or anybody I care about. But the fact that I have to come up here and say, please don't kill me. Please stop perpetuating systems of white supremacy and racism and things that snuff us out and make us leave this community. It's unacceptable, it's hurtful, and it's very, very real. And so until y'all can make statements, say that racism, systemic racism and white supremacy lives here, and it's in the police department, and it's in the city commission, it's everywhere because y'all can't run from racism. That's the way the society is built, on the backs of people. If we can't say things like indigenous populations matter, standing with Standing Rock, we haven't heard anything about that. The pipeline, y'all, this is why intersectionality matters, and this is why representation has to happen. I'm done with it. No more half-truths. Talk about real things. Don't show us graphs that don't have any data. Don't show me that stuff. That don't save me. Radical prioritization says we should talk about people first. Data don't save my life. Because y'all don't even want to check the data on racial profiling. We need to be more invested, and we need it now. And we are not going anywhere. Black Lives Matter. Stephen.
Unfortunately, we have another case of police abuse. This one is in East Point, Michigan. It actually happened in August 10th of 2015, but we now have footage of it. if you are faint of heart, you're not going to want to watch this. Okay, in this case, as you're about to see, they strap the guy into a chair, they tie him up, and then start pummeling him while yelling, "Stop resisting," which, as you'll see the tape, he's tied in. And then I'll tell you what happened to him. Let's watch.
You keep acting like a child, you're going to get strapped in that chair, and you're going to stay there.
It's August 10th, 2015. Frankie Taylor's been picked up for drunk driving in East Point, and that officer wasn't kidding.
He told me that I was going to be able to use the phone, man. Come on, Frank, walk. Oh, man. Frank, there you go.
Officers pick Taylor up and take him to the chair and try to restrain him, threatening to tase him. That's when another officer comes in, puts on gloves, and strikes him repeatedly, knocking him unconscious.
I'm glad we got it. Stop resisting. 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 Stop resisting.
Now, in the beginning, you have some sympathy for the cops. The guy's either resisting or he's drunk, he's falling all over the place. Do they have to put him in the chair? Yes. Should they handcuff him? Yeah, that makes sense. Now, once you've already got him situated in the chair and he's taken care of, you don't have to keep punching him. And that's against the law. That's assault. And to me, the most haunting way, or the haunting part of it, is as they're all holding him down, as you saw on tape, and the guy's punching him in the face repeatedly, "Stop resisting, stop resisting." They say it as a matter of course, like, oh, this will cover us. If we just hold a guy down, we tie him down, and we keep punching him in the face, as long as I say stop resisting, then I'm going to be fine. You're not fine. That's, in fact, it's Orwellian, it's gross. Okay, what happened to Frankie Taylor? He's blind in one eye now. They blinded him. So let me tell you part of the reason why. Not only because they beat him senseless there, but because they gave him no treatment. First, Frankie Taylor now has a quote when he talked to Fox 2. He said, "The guy hit me so many times, it made me cry once I seen the tape." So it was so bad, he got traumatized all over again. And of course, he's having nightmares. He got blinded in one eye. So let me tell you how that happened. Taylor's attorney, James Razor, said that rather than seeking medical treatment for Taylor's injuries, they transferred him to Macomb County Jail the next day. Within days, he was admitted to Detroit Receiving Hospital for surgery, but it was too late to save his eye. So this is why they call it Black Lives Matter. Because when you strap someone down and you've got 4 or 5 cops there, and then you start punching him in the face, and then you refuse to treat him like a human being, and at the very least, after you have assaulted him and maimed him, for God's sake, get a medical treatment. But if you think his life doesn't matter, that he's not a fellow human being, and you can just take his eye and do whatever you want to him, then you don't give him treatment. You never bother taking him to the hospital until days later, and then he lost his eye. To you, it doesn't matter, because that's not the same life as someone you care and love for. What we're asking you to do is treat everyone like their life matters.
Everybody, this is right here in the Del Paso Heights. Nephew, just listen. I want to move. No, you got to stay right here. You can't. You can't. Hey, hey, hey! Why you doing him like that? Wait, Alexis. Hey, Alexis, wait.
I'm going right here, Naomi. Get out.
Oh my God.
You can't be handcuffed like that.
Hey, why you beating him like that? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. He beating him like that. Oh, Jesus. I've seen this, Lord. Oh, yeah, he's breaking his arm. Oh my God, why'd you take him down like that? Oh my God. No, that was wrong.
I got shit on me. I just got off work.
He just got off work.
You're going to be hearing from my lawyer and my boss. I don't give a fuck.
Why did you take him down like that, though, sir? That wasn't right. I got that. He took him down like that, though. For real. God. Did you see that? Girl, I seen that.
They don't want to get Antoinette.
No, wait, Alexis.
They ain't gonna do nothing to you.
They can't. He just got off work. And that policeman was harassing him. Look at all of this. Look at all this. He beat him up for no reason.
My soul is alive. You can't kill my bride. You can't kill my soul. No nothing. You don't know who the fuck you is.
Oh my God, that was crazy. Yes, he does. Yeah. Yep, I seen that. I got that. For reals on everything, I got that. And he didn't have nothing on him though. Nothing. He walking.
None of that shit. I've been having a hard ass week. Y'all need to leave me the fuck alone. Right. Leave me alone. Are you gonna provide me with housing? Are you gonna give me a better job? No, you're not. Stop touching my arm, bro.
He was beating the mess out of him. He didn't even, oh my God, that's wrong. He did that. And I got, oh my God, Jesus, Lord. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And it is what it is. I seen that. I caught that just in time. Oh, goodness. This is the first time I ever caught something like this. That was wrong. He beat that, oh my God. He beat him. Do you hear me? He did that to him. Oh, Jesus. Ain't no telling what else they gonna do to him.
Okay, and now get a photo. Did that pull me over? See, I knew exactly.
I got at St. Mark's Church. 300 as at St. Mark's Church. Hold here.
All right. I got my.
On the ground! On the ground! Get on the ground! Turn around! Cooperate! Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Sir, you're on video. As FYI. Alright. Fine. I got cuff. Yes, this is my vehicle, sir. I was trying to fix something on the roof. Okay. I have evidence to that end. Well, when we tell you to get down, you got to get down. Yes, sir. I understand. Okay. Now, why am I being put in the handcuffs? We got to verify the car is not stolen, man. This is E14. I'm a PhD student at Northwestern University in the Department of Materials Science and Engineering. I purchased this vehicle January 23rd, 2015 from Libertyville Chevrolet. I have all the evidence. Ask me who it registers to. Myself. It registers. 73.
370.
Can you tell us who the plate registers to? I don't know why I'm being arrested. I need to matter.
This was Detective Lawrence Crosby, 507 William Parker.
Yes, you did. No, I did not. There is something called the Fifth Amendment. No. Oh, God. That doesn't apply. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Reasonable search and seizure. Why? Hey, what's up?
Hi, I called.
506.
Okay. It looked like he had a bar in his hand and was trying to jimmy it open.
Okay.
I feel really like I didn't mean to racial profile, just like
no.
Like that. And I don't want to like.
All right, man, just calm down.
I know.
Okay.
I just.
All right. He got a different issue going on right now.
People wonder why the phrase is Black Lives Matter. So look, there's 1,000 stories of the police taking people into custody without shooting them. There's a guy who shot up the church in Charleston, killed 9 people in a church. They took him into custody and they got him Burger King afterwards. There's a terrorist in New York and New Jersey. They just caught him. Look, I don't want the guy in the Charleston shooting to get shot on sight. I don't want the terrorist to get shot, even though he's a terrorist and he did the bombings right next to my family and friends. I want us to be America. And I want us to be better than the terrorists, better than the mass shooters. All those guys, okay, hey, we found a way to take them alive. But when it comes to an innocent, unarmed black man in the middle of Tulsa, Oklahoma, we just can't find a way to cuff him, even though he did nothing wrong. Boom, 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 we're going to shoot him and we're going to kill him. So you're going to see the video for yourselves right now. It's Terrence Crutcher. He's 40 years old. And he is a father. He sings at his local church. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to be proven innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. His car stalled in the middle of the highway. Has your car ever stalled in the middle of the highway? It happened to me once, but I didn't get shot. You probably didn't get shot. But he's a black man in America, so he's going to get a different scenario. So let's look, if you can stomach it, I'm going to show you the videos. He's going to get shot here, and yes, he dies. So I'm giving you that as a warning. Let's look at the first video.
All right, I'm going to hit the recorder. This guy's still walking and following commands.
Time for taser, I think.
That's got a feeling that's about to happen.
That looks like a bad dude, too, to be honest with you.
Which way are they facing? Police 1, they're facing westbound. I think he may have just been tasered.
Shots fired!
Ooh.
321, we have shots fired. We have one suspect down. We need MC here.
They need to get this eastbound closed down if they could, because they're not going to be able to let anybody.
Okay.
That looks like a bad dude. Really? To me, it looks like a guy stuck in the middle of the road with his hands up in the air. But they see a black man in America, and that dude looks dangerous. He's probably on something. Why? He's a 40-year-old guy. He's got kids at home. Why is he dangerous? Why is he dangerous? Okay, you're going to tell me that if that's a blonde woman in the middle of the street with a stalled car, they're going to shoot her when she's got her hands up. You really believe that? There's not a single person in the country that actually believes that. I don't care how hard right-wing you are. That's a 19-year-old blonde girl. You know they're not going to shoot her. You know it for a fact. That's an 87-year-old white grandmother. You think they're going to shoot her with her hands up? No. You think there's going to be a guy somewhere going, that looks like a bad dude? What did he say? He said they need to taser that thing. I mean, that's the least of the problems. Most of the problem is that they shot him. And then they leave him there to die. Here's another camera angle.
This guy's still walking and following commands.
Time for taser, I think.
That's got a feeling that's about to happen.
That looks like a bad dude, too, to be honest with you.
Which way are they facing?
Police 1, they're facing westbound. I think he may have just been tasered.
Shots fired!
Ooh.
321, we have shots fired. We have one suspect down. We need MC here.
They need to get this eastbound closed down if they could, because they're not going to be able to let anybody.
Okay.
Don't worry about the goddamn eastbound. The guy's on the floor bleeding out. Go help him. Go help him. Black Lives Matter because apparently you think they don't. Go help the guy. You just shot him. There's 4 of you. Go help him. He's dying. Go help him. What kind of cops are you? You're supposed to protect and serve us. Go help the guy. They let him bleed out for 2 minutes. And he died. Where was the goddamn danger? No. We've been trained. We don't take 0.00001% chance. My job's to get home. No, your job is to protect and to serve us. There's a 50% chance at least that he's going to die there if you don't go stop his bleeding. Nah. I'm going to go and I'm going to close the highways. I'm going to do this. I'm going to back away. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to cover my ass. But the last thing I'm going to do is help that guy who's bleeding on the ground and dying because I shot him when he had his hands up. And they're like, oh, he's about to get tasered. What could Terrence have done not to get killed? If he went towards them, they definitely would have shot him. He goes away from them, they shoot him. He's got his hands up, they shoot him. If he had his hands down, they shoot him. What could he have done not to get shot other than be not black? So now they're caught. In the old days, why is this a big issue now? Because now we have the video. You think this never happened? You think black people have been making it up all across the country for hundreds of years? Oh no, the black people, they're notorious liars. The cops were giving out candy and unicorns the black people, and they've just been lying about it because they like to lie about cops. No, this is the treatment they've been getting all along. Now we're just seeing it. And so now that we have the video, before they would have been like, oh, he was dangerous, super dangerous, he was reaching. Oh, by the way, was he armed? Of course not. Did he have a gun? Of course not. He's a regular citizen. His car stalled. Okay. By the way, they weren't going to investigate him. They were going to investigate something else. They see a black man in the middle of the road. They don't think I should help him. They think I should kill him. Now, look, I'm going to get to the person who did it, and it's not on purpose. That is very important, and I'll get to that in a second, and some of you might disagree with that, but hold. So now that we see it, the police chief in Tulsa, Chuck Jordan, says, okay, ooh, very disturbing. It's very difficult to watch. Well, that is true. And see, this is why the cops don't like cameras, because then we get to see what they've been doing all along. And then he says, I will just make this promise to you. We will achieve justice in this case. I want to assure our community, I want to assure all of you people across the nation who are going to be looking at this. We will achieve justice, period. Okay, good. I'll take it. That's a good statement by the police chief. Let's hope we get justice. Okay. Now, the person who did the shooting is Betty Shelby. She's an officer there. Now, I show you her picture because that's all over the news, and that's who did the shooting. Now, I want to tell you, it's not about her. It's not about her. It's the training. It's the training. It's the training. So why do I say it's not about her? Just in 2015, I did another story. A reserve officer shot another unarmed black man named Eric Harris. We did that story. And every time it's the same excuses. Oh, it's a few bad apples, and I don't know. He's a black guy. He was reaching up. He was reaching down. He was moving forward. He was moving backward. Shot him, shot him, shot him. But it's not just Eric Harris. It's not just Terrence in this case. So let me give you stats. So far in 2016, 19 people have been killed by police officers in Oklahoma, giving the state the 6th highest per capita rate of killings by police in the U.S., according to statistics compiled by The Guardian. Last year, Oklahoma ranked number 4 per capita with 37 killings, The Guardian data showed. Why are they always near the top? Do you think it's just Betty Shelby? No, she panicked, and she did because why? Because we all have it in the back of our heads, and apparently they're trained this way. Remember, the black guys, they're on something. They're dangerous, okay? And even remove the racial element of it. Everyone is dangerous. Cops, whatever you do, don't take any chances. Mow them down, mow them down. There's a white guy in Miami. Came out, he came out of a barber shop. They claimed he had done a bank robbery, and he had a razor with no razor in it. Are you going to investigate? You're not going to investigate. Shoot, 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 shoot. Oh, he's dead. Oh, it turns out there was no razor. Oops. Laquan McDonald walking away. Who cares? Shoot him in the back. Guy in South Carolina walking away. Who cares? Shoot him in the back. We don't take any chances. We don't take it. It's the training. And there are worse departments, and there are better departments. We told you about a good department in San Antonio where they actually train people not to kill people at the first blink of an eye. In Oklahoma, they don't do proper training. They tell you everything's a danger, and even if the guy's got his hands up, even if there's 4 of you and only 1 of him, even if he's not armed, even if he does everything, just don't take any chances. Whatever you do, you are God, and their lives do not matter. Now, finally, I'm going to give you one last video of him sitting there, as his lawyer describes, in a pool of his own blood while they take their sweet time getting to him. Watch.
305, if we haven't already, start him, sir.
Good for there.
Charlie 305 on scene. Has anybody cleared the vehicle yet? Adam 321. I drove up on this incident. Currently out here. I don't think anybody else is en route to Adam 325.
That haunting ticking clock, we did not add that. That is in their video. For God's sake, help him. His life matters. The original cops who did the shooting, get on there, stop the bleeding. He's not a danger. For God's sake, he's not a danger. You already shot him. You see him, he's not moving. Help him, help him, help him, help him, help him. He died. He was a father of 4 on his way home on a Friday night. Now, those 4 kids don't have a father, and you're telling me Black Lives Matter.
In gasoline and set on fire, sharing his story of survival.
His parents want to know how anyone could do something so awful. Fox News' Jeff Bernthal is here now with the questions his family want answered. Jeff.
A terrible crime, and the suspect only 16. Now a family focused on helping their young burn victim recover, hopes they can someday understand why he suffered so much. Walter Curry Jr. is only 15, soon to be a high school sophomore. Police in Poplar Bluff say it was along this road when one of his classmates sprayed gasoline from a squirt bottle on Curry, then lit him on fire, leaving marks over most of his upper body.
Stomach area, chest, shoulders, necks, and underneath my arms.
Curry was too weak to tell us much more, although he did describe what his attacker told him.
I got gasoline and a lighter.
And how he tried to extinguish the flames that burned his own skin.
Like I ran. And then I jumped over a car and started rolling and got it off my skin. It was still on my clothes, so I dropped my clothes.
I'm angry. Who did it? Why?
The boy's father wants answers. Police arrested a 16-year-old they say had a beef with Curry. Curry admits he knew his attacker but did not think there was any bad blood, certainly not enough to require intense medical care.
I was in disbelief. I just hit the ground, couldn't believe it.
Curry's mother has stayed at St. John's Mercy Medical Center by her son's side ever since the attack.
My heart just broke because I couldn't believe nobody in this day and time would do something like that. You know, what was going through a person's mind to be so cruel.
Curry is faced with a long and difficult road to recovery. It could take years. For now, it's one day at a time. Because this suspect is a juvenile, police are not releasing too many details, and that's another source of the Curry family's frustration. They want to know more about why this happened. Jeff Bernthal, Fox 2.
If you hate, you're just as bad as the person that committed the crime. So I actually have prayed for her.
More than 60 years ago, the brutal killing and lynching of a black Chicago teenager sparked the civil rights movement. Tonight, the family of Emmett Till responds to an explosive admission from his accuser. One woman's lie set his murder into motion.
CBS 2's Audrina Begas sat down with Till's family to talk about that confession.
What?
In 1955,
That's the short of the long.
Willard Parker was there outside the Mississippi grocery store when his cousin, Emmett Till, whistled at this white woman, Carolyn Bryant. She claimed Till physically and verbally accosted her. Days later, her husband and brother-in-law kidnapped, beat, and shot Till. Now, a bombshell in this book set to hit shelves next week. Bryant takes back her story that led to Till's lynching.
She was just trying to say that nothing that went on between them constituted any excuse for anyone harming him.
Bryant, captured here by 60 Minutes in 2004, now admits it was all a lie.
That's a big giant. That's a big step. That's a courageous woman.
It's not hard for you to say that about her after a lie?
I never had any animosity. We were taught not to hate. I taught that was inbred in us not to hate, because hate destroy the haters.
Bryant's husband and brother-in-law were charged with murder but acquitted in just over an hour by an all-white jury. They would later admit they did kill Emmett Till. The world saw the mutilation in his open casket, his mother crying over her unrecognizable son. Decades later, Carolyn Bryant says she felt sorrow for Till's mother.
You have to be a terrible person for it not to eat at you. And she's a civil woman. I have great respect for her to come out and say it and admit it. Most people wouldn't.
Emmett Till's family still has lots of questions for 82-year-old Carolyn Bryant, and they admit they may never know the answers. We could learn more in Bryant's memoir, but that won't be available for public view until 2036. So we waited decades to learn this bombshell, and now it could be decades more till we learn something else.
It's just amazing the spirit of forgiveness that this family has, considering what they've been through.
Yes, it's a family that grew up in the church, and they say that has helped them with forgiving this woman and the men.
Why won't we hear or see anything till 2036?
That is when she says she will release that memoir, and she'll be about 100 or 101 at that time.
All right. Audrina, thank you.
So we're bringing another update to the story with the man Floyd Dent. Now, most of you have been watching those videos if you watch this channel over the past few weeks. And remember, he was pulled over by Inkster police, pulled out of the car, put in a chokehold, punched 16 times in the head, and also a cop planted crack cocaine inside of his vehicle. And all this was caught on tape as we've been bringing updates. Well, the current update, they dropped the charge of drugs against Floyd Dent and put charges of assault on the cop that they fired. Let me go roll the clip.
I was so joyful and in tears and happy.
Floyd Dent was brought to tears when news that charges against him have been dropped. He says police not only beat him that night, they planted cocaine in his car. He thought he was heading to prison.
With officers planting stuff on innocent people, I really thought that I was done.
Today, Wayne County prosecutor Kim Worthy dropped cocaine charges against Dent and issued assault charges against fired Inkster police officer William Melendez. Melendez is seen on the tape choking and then punching Floyd Dent 16 times in the head. The prosecutor saying she only learned about the video by watching our Local 4 Defender investigation on TV.
We found out about it, as many of you did, from the news reports from WDIV reporter Kevin Dietz.
Dent says the prosecutors did the right thing, and now hopefully citizens will be safe of Melendez.
And this time, justice was done for him. No, he can't do that to nobody anymore.
said, this book demonstrates that we are not as different as we like to think that we are. So what I'm going to go over real brief right now is what the attributes are of the good black woman. Since she's not on television, we may not recognize her. Okay. Now, the good black woman has 7 attributes, and then I'm going to explain to you how to utilize those in your day-to-day life. The good black woman has self-discipline, courteousness, cheerfulness, self-respect, intelligence, cleanliness, and love. Now, we've heard that terminology. You know, it's like one of those where they tell you pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. What do that mean? You know, how can I make that functional in my day-to-day life to benefit me as a practice? It sounds like all theory. Where's the practicum? What do I do? The good black woman has self-discipline. That's self-control. Let me make that real for you, sisters. We can start with our mouth. The good black woman can control her mouth. She don't have to say everything that comes up. It's okay if he get the last word sometime. You know, she don't cuss in public. And she works on not cussing in private. She don't tear a man down with her mouth because they can't out-argue us. Can't nobody out-argue us. I have charged that we nag our men too much. We keep our men's head tied up so much with our petty grievances about our personal relationship that he don't have time to think and plan for our future. Because he got to deal with what's going to happen with us every day. You know, it's real odd. When the black man come home, he almost have to do a wind test or stick his toe in the door. He don't know what's waiting. He don't know who in there today. He know it's a possibility that there's some kind of new monster that he didn't even know about yesterday. So, you know, we need to not make it like that. We need to not be so vicious with our mouth. You know, men are not petty like that. They're not going to out-argue us. And it has been proven that verbal abuse is just as harmful as physical abuse. So let's not use our mouth to do that to him. The good black woman is courteous. She says, thank you, baby. I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate every effort you make. Try harder. I'm going to work with you. Thank you. I know you did your best. Now that's a whole new language. But just to say that during the course of the day, every day, with the man that you're trying to be with or want to be with, will make our life easier. We can't get it if we don't give it. We keep wanting them to give us and do something for us that we refuse to do and give to them. It don't work like that. The good black woman has self-respect. She don't have to go out naked just to get the attention of a man. I have sisters all over the country, and they come up to me after the lectures, and they'll be talking to me, and they'll say, well, you know, all he think about is sex. All he think about is my body. I say, why don't you show him something else? And then here's the really good one. They'll come up and they'll have on a weave. They have on false eyelashes, another whole face, false fingernails, and all of that. And then they'll say, but I'm looking for a real man. It's real deep. I say, why? What do you want a real man for? The good black woman can pull a dress down without thinking that it devalues her. She doesn't have to use her body because she has so many other good attributes about herself to get the attention of a man. We can take the sisters in a position to take all of the charge and sexual energy out of the black community by just dressing differently. We have the power and control over that. That don't stop you from being beautiful. You know, that don't stop you from getting a man. And it certainly puts things on the right perspective so some other judgments can be made other than physical. It don't take no knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to have a sexual reaction. That's the most base. We spend less time doing that than anything else we do. So, you know, that doesn't always have to be the forefront issue. We know we are capable of that. The good black woman has intelligence, meaning that she knows how to behave properly in the streets. She's not in the wrong place. Some of our women don't know what else to do other than go to the bar. They need some activities. Some of our women thinking that staying home on the weekend is some kind of sin. Some of our women think that if they don't have a new outfit to wear every day, that they're going to self-destruct. You know, we have a lot of just that kind of nonsense going. Every time we buy new outfits and clothes or whatever, all we're doing is sending money out of our community. We don't own no clothing stores. If the white man closed the shoe factory, we'd all be here barefooted tonight. We don't own no shoe factories. You know, very base things that we don't own, that we put our money into and demand we have to have them. A lot of times our men look at us and know that he ain't never going to be able to make enough money to give us all of the things we say we want. And don't no man want to be with no woman who he constantly got to deny her the things that she says she wants. And that represents failure to him, to have to always, you know, not be able to provide us with what we ask for. One of the ways we can do that is to start being satisfied with less. You know, the good black woman is clean. Now that's a hard one. The good black woman try to keep the house clean. Good black woman is clean by her own body. You know, a lot of those things we kind of take for granted, but all of our people don't know about that. There are people who are angry with me because I even describe the fact that some of us as sisters don't have the proper personal hygiene, as if that don't exist. We have too much falsehood and pretense going about our condition. Everybody that's dressed up ain't clean. You know, that's just the truth. We have to look at our condition in the light of truth. Stop reacting emotionally and pretending that just because we don't want to deal. One of the most difficult things that I deal with out here is trying to teach our people the difference between an actual fact and an opinion. Our people think that they can accept or reject truth based on how they feel about it. Your feelings don't change the truth. The truth is just going to be there. You can feel any kind of way you want to feel about it. Those kind of emotions have kept us from growing. Because anything we don't like, we just reject that and say, well, I don't believe that. That don't mean that it's not the truth. It just makes you a disbeliever. The good black woman practices non-possessive loving. Now, y'all know that's a hard one. Now, envy is wanting what someone else has. And jealousy, of course, is just selfishness. Non-possessive loving is not an easy one for us to practice. And, of course, I have a lot of sisters and some brothers who are in disagreement with me saying that. But the actual fact is that our men are outnumbered about 5 to 1. And nature is going to require that the men take responsibility for more than one woman and her children. Most of our men have children by more than one woman anyway. So I don't know why that was such a surprise, allegedly, when I said that. The black man has not been waiting on me to tell him he could have more than one woman. You know, I'm in agreement with the rest of y'all. I don't think he should do that, but I feel like you did. There are some things perhaps about the nature of our man that we have been given some definitions about that are not true. There are some things he can do that we call him a dog. We do not have the same capabilities as a man. I am not talking about fornication and adultery. That's something else. I'm talking about actual responsibility of fatherhood and husbandhood of another family. That's quite different from fornication and adultery. We don't have the same capabilities of them. That's right. A man can have 2 homes, 2 sets of in-laws. He can eat dinner at 2 houses, 2 sets of children, 2 garages, 2 separate sets of friends attached to that woman. He can have all of that. We can't do that. We can't cook dinner at 2 houses. We can't sleep with one man 4 nights a week and another one 3. Ain't no man gonna agree with that. We can't have one set of children we leave in one place and go and stay in another place and take care of another set. It doesn't work for us. Now that does not mean that we can't have sex with more than one man. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just taking responsibility for your children. Now certainly every man can't take financial responsibility for all of his children. He can do something. But a man who is spending time with a child is going to do something for it. Because then they'll find out what we have since we've been taking care of them by ourselves. You don't like to always say, no, I can't do it. No, I ain't got it. So the children will make you get it up. You spend some time with it. You know, that's an important thing. The effectiveness of the principles that I just described, their usefulness has not diminished just because modern opinion has changed about them. There is not a black man in this room who does not still enjoy it if his woman bake him a cake. While our young daughters are being raised and taught that that's old style and that's out of fashion. We are not making those rules. Somebody else is, and they're imposing them on us and making us think that we have to qualify under them. I tell the brothers, just like I tell the sisters, if you have a woman that you've been working with for months or years, and you can't get that woman to get in agreement with your program, then get rid of her and get another one. And I tell the sisters the same thing. If you're with a man you can't agree with, don't make his life miserable. Get with a man you can agree with. But we spend too much time living in hell with each other. We spend too much time tearing each other down, trying to make the other person do different or function different. If you want somebody to change, first change yourself. We set the example. We are the teacher. We are the mother. We set the example.
See, we are natural men, but women are our trial. The woman is the woman of God. You stand up and preach with the Spirit of God, a woman wants to comfort you. That's her nature. She's born as a consoler of the man. Because it's the man's job to struggle against the forces in nature, to overcome them for his woman, for his family, for his future. And when you're a struggler like that, a woman's duty is to console and comfort you and rub your head and run the bath water for you and cook a meal for you. So don't you tell me, pretty woman. Prettiness can't give health and well-being to your family. We know you're pretty. But when a man wakes up and he want to go out and work, you got to send him out right. That's your BMW, baby. Your black man working. You got to send him out right, and he'll bring it back to you. I'll close that point with this. Civilization is never measured by a man. The degree of civilization in any society is measured by the woman. Any society.
It's GC, you know. Listen to me. Look, when we check a bag, we spend it on they clothes. Get a little money and spend it in they stores. Tory Lanez just blew like 35,000 with some Caucasians to prove that he wasn't broke. Like, damn. We be doing what they want. They don't love us, but we want their names on our labels. I would've took that 35, spent it with my people, and told all them white people to go where they came from. Like, yeah, we buy black, we buy black. I would've gave WeBuyBlack.com them rats. Then posted the receipt up on my Facebook status. Give a damn what they think about all this pro-blackness. They ain't gotta validate any of my actions. I ain't trying to make them proud when I'm rapping. We care too much about pleasing these people. They ain't did nothing for us. That's so backwards. Like, yeah, I want everything black, Black Wall Street, take it way back to Oklahoma. Black operated, black owned. We can take back our thrones. Yeah, brother, whole time that's goals. Yeah, sister, whole time that's dope. Yeah, family, whole time that's life. Yeah, listen, that's freedom. Let's go. Hey, tell me you rocking with it. Go find your people and just get the shopping with them. Spend your black dollars with them. All this money we got, but we don't see the profit really. And we spend over $1 trillion a year. You hear me? Not billion. I said $1 trillion. Let's get up and get it and pull our resources. Cause listen, look, I'm trying to see us winning. Hey, it's GC, you know. Shout out We Buy Black.
Talking about, you name one of them that put their own dough up. A boss, you're only the boss if you put up your own money. If you don't put up your own money, I don't care how much somebody gives you, you're nothing but a supervisor. It's not yours. So how much money can you get paid to not? There's no money in this world for someone to pay me so they could call me, so I could call them a boss. That's like calling somebody daddy. How can a man call another man, yo, that's my boss? We don't do that.
I mean, everybody at some point has to have a boss, right?
No, not in Harlem. Oh, okay. Put it like this.
Because you're somebody's boss.
No, I'm not somebody's boss. When I was in the street, someone wasn't your boss. They gave you an opportunity.
Okay.
They gave you some work. You go make it, and then you bring it back. You can go buy your own work. You do whatever you want. It's called consignment.
So why this can't be all work? This corporate America, we could be using
you don't
this.
own it.
But
I'm telling you why. I'm telling you why. Question. Let me answer your question. Can you give it to your son?
How you what to my son?
Whatever you
shares
working
of this
for.
company, I absolutely positively can.
How?
How? Because I own shares of this company.
You bought them?
Yes.
What I'm saying is, can your son eat? Is this yours to give the whole company
this
to you?
This company is not my son's. No,
exactly.
It's not mine. But I own shares
stop.
of
Listen. That's not my question. If your son needs a job here, can you give it to him? No.
No.
If your son needs to get some money out the bank from here, some cash flow, can you get it?
No.
All right. You don't own this.
But I can take the money from here to invest in myself.
No, it's not yours. I'm not going to fight for something I don't own. Men don't do that. I don't fight for other niggas. I fight for me. I'm not a doula. I'm not going to build somebody else's company and then take shares so my son can... All that.
See, but I'm not
listen, what I'm saying.
But what about taking the money?
You come to work every
day. You took the money from Def Jam.
Stop. Don't say, you speak of my business and you don't know what you're talking about. I ain't take no money from Def Jam. What you talking about?
I mean they cut you a check.
No, they didn't cut me a check. We had a formula based on performance. And they calculated and we got paid.
That's us.
Stop. That's not us.
That's what we doing.
No. Listen. Before we had Rockefeller. We put up our own money for Rockefeller. Right?
Okay.
Then we sold half of it. We became partners. So that means no one gave us anything. We were 50-50 partners. We built something and sold it. That doesn't mean you work for someone. See, they let you believe that. So then what happened was, based on a formula. You want to know what a formula is? It was profit times a certain number. So if you make this much profit times 7, that's how much your number is.
Okay.
Based on that formula, they bought the rest. That's it. That's not nobody giving me money. I never worked for them. I put up way more money than Def Jam put up. Me, Biggs, and Jay put way more money up into Def Jam. I mean, rather into Rockefeller than Def Jam. All they did was collect our money. What you mean? Why you think Def Jam? First of all, when we were with Def Jam, they were bought by Universal. How you gonna call Def? How you gonna think someone that's bought by someone could be someone's boss? That's my point. You have to understand what you're doing in business because you got to do what's best for your kids. What's best for your kids is to put your money into something, distress, go through all of it, so when your child becomes a man, he doesn't have to work for nobody.
Right, well, that's the
you
whole
can
thing.
just pass it to him.
Now you talk about...
So if you're going to work 20 years in a business, or 15 years in the business every day over and over again, and your son can't work here whenever he feel like it, you clowning at me.
I don't want him to work
but that's
here.
not setting you. If you owned it, wait a second. Time out.
I don't need a check.
That's stupid. You should be. Time out.
Rap because he enjoy it, not because he want a check.
You're wrong.
I'm here because
I like
the
check. Wait, time out. Time out. Time out. You're lying.
I don't need
Before you lose your control, just stay focused.
Like you say, do your
So here, listen to me.
I work here because I enjoy it.
Why don't you listen?
I work here for free.
Who could work? Would you ever enjoy being a slave?
I'm not. It's not a slave. This is what I enjoy.
I don't think this is slavery, Dan.
Do you have to come to work today? Do you have a choice? Do you have to ask somebody when you have to? Yes, you do.
I don't.
Or you're fired. Can somebody tell you you're fired?
I don't.
Can somebody tell you you're fired? Yes or no? Can another man say you're fired?
Absolutely.
No one can tell me that. And that's priceless to me.
But I'm here because
I don't care. You enjoy having a man be able to tell you you're fired?
But
you enjoy. Okay, let me ask you a question. So you're being selfish. Do you think your son enjoys you calling somebody else a boss? Don't you think your son would rather wake up with you and you could pick him up from school instead of having to do a 9 to 5? Don't you think? Yeah, all right, but don't you have to wake up at 4 in the morning? Don't you think your son would love if his name was up there, Dash, or whatever your last name is, instead of somebody else's? My pride is in my children. Like, look what I'm doing right now. Look at my son. I taught my son never to have a boss. He's 23. He owns a restaurant. He has cookies. He has equity. He busts his ass so he can pass it on to his son. If that's not what you hustlers for, you're selfish. You keep saying I'm worried about my kids. You worried about you.
My kids are good.
How they good? Your kids aren't going to be kids.
I
feel like I'm in the Def Jam boardroom and backstage.
They kids, they're not supposed to work. I'm saying when they men, you're supposed to pass them something. You're working for another man.
They're worried about
See, to me, this is retarded. See, the other
questions. I feel like I'm in Def Jam's boardroom. This is not backstage. Everybody cool out for a second. But Dan, I'm asking you a question. You're a businessman.
Absolutely.
What's wrong with taking the money from here and investing it into other stuff that we own?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Thank you.
Everybody eat a cookie. Cool out for a second.
I'm not mad. The mentality is this. It's frustrating. Because you're on the radio and this message is crazy to me. You're saying because you enjoy music or being a DJ, you enjoy having a boss. If you enjoy being a DJ, just why don't you own your own radio station and then DJ for your own radio station so your son can just get on anytime he wants? That's all I'm saying.
But it's steps to it, though.
No, there's no steps to it because I do it. See, you enjoy the safety and the security of a job every day. But there's no pride in that to me. My son takes pride. My kids take pride in the fact that I have Dash Motors. And because I have that, my son said, I'm not going to ever have a boss. His mentality is different. It's just about changing mentality.
Now, let me ask you a question. There's millions of people out there that don't have that opportunity and
all have the opportunity.
A boss every day. So you're basically saying because they have a boss, there's no pride in it?
I think because people on the radio tell people it's okay to have a boss, they don't understand that they can have more. And because of the direct-to-consumer relationship, the internet, there's no excuse. So when I make a movie like Losada's, I don't have to ask if I could put Daniel in a movie. I just do it. I had to ask if I could put... Wait, hold on. I had to ask if I could put Cameron in
Paid in Full. Okay.
I don't have to ask no more. You understand? There's pride in that. It's just a pride you should have in ownership.
So how do you get to that platform? How do you get to the platform?
By putting your own money up and investing in yourself. That's it. You flip. And getting a good woman and stop trusting dudes and stop worrying about other people's pockets and what other people have and what other people can do for you. And 9 to 5s aren't good because you hustling for a weekend. But when you do something that's for yourself and your family, it never feels like work. I hustle for my last name. I don't hustle for my first.
Now we have another archaeology book by Time Life magazine. And from this particular archaeology book, we have a man by the name, a picture of a man by the name of Adolf Hitler, where the media, the scholars portray him as a madman. But Adolf Hitler was not a madman. He knew what he was talking about. Most of his speech were in German. He knew exactly what he was talking about. And he knows the records of the real Germans. The original Germans, which means genuine Jews, noble people. He knew that they were black. He knew. Now, this is the front cover of the archaeological record put together by Time Life Books. So you can see the title of this particular book called The Nazis, World War II. Let me turn it right. Here it is. The Nazis. The Nazis, World War II. As you can see, here's the picture again of Adolf Hitler. Now, what we will do, as the camera's still rolling, is go in front of the page. Go down to here. We are at the front of the page. Now, this particular archaeology book was put together by Robert Edwin Hertzstein. If I'm not mistaken, from the last name, it seems like a so-called Jew to me. The editors of Time Life Books, the Nazis. And Time Life Books is a major publishing company. Let's see what Time Life Books says concerning the Jews. On page 132, in the archaeology book titled The Nazis, World War II, the scholars have put together a records of the things that Adolf Hitler was doing. Now what you're seeing here is Adolf Hitler, right here. And the scene here is a theater. Adolf Hitler showing documentary films. And the man next to him is his right-hand man. And we will read the caption at the bottom. Adolf Hitler and the rest of his comrades showing documentary films. Now let's see what happened. The man that we have just saw, his name is Goebbels, and Hitler personally appraised a new German movie when the Fuhrer complained that films exposing the Nazi line were too scarce. Goebbels rushed a pair of anti-Semitic pictures into the production. Let's go down. In one segment of the Nazi instructional film, right, the genetic heritage of the Jews is purportedly traced to the Oriental. Why would he say some things like that? Because the original Chinese Orientals were black Hebrew Israelites. We have records on that, and we will share that with our brothers and sisters later on. And the taping. Negro. That covers the Negroes throughout North, Central, and South America. Near Asian. Code, all these words are code for Israelites. Keep going. Hermetic people. Now, we're not Hermetic, we are Shemitic. The blacks over here in America, throughout North, Central, and South America, are Shemitic. We're not Hermetic. We did not descend from Ham. We are descended of Shem. Go on. Yes, the film concludes. The Jews today is a bastard. Should we stop? So did Adolf Hitler know who the real Jews were? Yes, he did. He was showing documentary films, showing the original ethnicity, genealogy of the real Jews, that they're black. And the ones that were following us, he called them bastards. The so-called white people that were following a black religion. Did they call that what? Judaism? Yes, Judaism is a black religion. Adolf Hitler knew who they were, and he was teaching that in Germany. The real Jews are the Schwarzers. The real Jews are the blacks. That's what the word Schwarzer means. Now, not only did he say in writing that, go back to that again, that the real Jews are black, genetic heritage of the Jews is traced to the Negroes. Oriental, code word for black, for Hebrew Israelites. New Agent, Hebrew Israelite. Now, they go off when they say Hermetic people. We're not Hermetic. We're Shemitic. So how can you be anti-Shemitic if you yourselves are Shemitic? I don't understand. The Negroes in America are Shemitic. They're the real Jews from the tribe of Judah. Now let's look at the pictures that Adolf Hitler put together. German word for Oriental. Orientalen. I'm not fluent in Germany, but I'm pretty sure I'm close. A black Jew. Go back. Here it is. Black Jews. Those are the things Adolf Hitler was showing. But when you get to here, right here, scroll down, hey, he is all over the world. Eastern Parkway, Broadway, Fifth Avenue, the diamond industry. What did Adolf Hitler call him? Look at it. That is the German word for bastards, brothers and sisters. That is the German word for bastard. Did Adolf Hitler that the real Jews are black? Yes. And that the ones that were calling themselves Jews are what? Imposters. And there is a passage in the records of the real Jews, which called the Bible, where God says in Zechariah chapter 9, verses 6, and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. Did Adolf Hitler know that? Yes. Who are the bastards today? The ones that are not Israelites, the so-called Jews. It's in the records. We're not making this up. What record book are we looking at? The Nazis, by Time Life Books. Who put this together? The scholars among the serpent. The scholars among the dragon. And the records are coming out, destroying the lie. This is the proof. When you read Zechariah 9, verses 6, God says, a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, which is in the future. Now when you trace the geographical location of Ashdod, it is Tel Aviv in Palestine. So who's ruling over there? God says, a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. God says that. Did Adolf Hitler know that? Yes. There it is. So the so-called Jews are imposters. Go back to the writing against us so they can see it. Adolf Hitler showing documentary film of the real Jews being black. This is amazing. I'm shocked. I would need a break. I'm sorry. Read it again. In one segment of a Nazi instructional film right, the genetic heritage, go back, the genetic heritage of the Jews is purportedly traced to Oriental Negro. Oriental, code word for black Hebrew Israelite. Negro, that gives it away. So Hitler was teaching that the real Jews are black. Why are you following a black religion?
Say something.
You want me to say something? Fine. I'll say something. You people. You're not a race. You are a virus. You destroy the world. Everything beautiful you poison. You drag us from our homes. You rape our daughters, murder our sons. You crack our spines and do all you can to break our will. You stab us. Then you put the knife in our hand and tell us it's our fault. And if you don't do it yourself, you stand by, close your eyes, and pretend there's nothing wrong. And then you pray to your God to silence our screams so that you can enjoy the happiness that we built for you with our blood. But it's not your fault. It's the only way you know how to be. And the only thing that will change anything is if another virus comes along and does to you what you do to us. And I hope that happens very soon.
Wow. This evening obviously hasn't gone as I'd hoped. And I think I'm having a full-on panic attack right now, so I'm gonna go to the bathroom and get myself together, and when I come back, I hope you don't see me as the devil.
say this because I know our spirit and our emotions get stirred. I'm not against nobody on the panel. I'm with everybody on the panel. I'm not diametrically opposed to anybody on the panel. I agree with everything my brother said about revolutionaryism. So let me ask you guys a few questions. We're in the South. We're in the heart of the South right now. Who fishes? Who knows how to fish? Hands down. Who knows how to hunt? Less hands. Hands down. Who shoots on a regular basis, meaning once or twice weekly? Hands down. Now you see how many hands? Who farms or grows their own food right now? Hands down. You ain't ready to oppose nothing. You are as a part of this system as any white person gentrified in this city. And you can't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about because I've lived in this neighborhood long enough to know when 2 out of every 5 yards had a garden in the back. I'm old enough to know when the Muslim community was the strongest security force and their own food force in this community. Black people, I love you, and I love you enough to tell you, you ain't ready to revolt shit. You don't feed yourself. You don't hunt your own animals and slaughter them. You don't prepare your own meat. You don't own your own land. You don't have a seed growing in your window. So when you think about revolutionaryism and you think about fighting and dying in the street, you ain't shit if you can't feed your children. You ain't nothing if you can't teach your children to hunt. I've been hearing this revolutionary talk all my life. All my life, I've been seeing leaders get before me and tell me how much of a strong warrior. And just like the United States Army, just like the military, I've seen their words send black boys off to die in the street fighting and arguing with police. You have no win. He was innocent and he got 19 years. His mama couldn't afford the right lawyer. His dad didn't know a senator. You have no wins. How many of you practice a martial art today? Who practices a martial art today? How many boys are practicing a martial art in your community today? Today. That's what I'm saying. We not ready to fight. You say fight back, fight the police. The police are trained to shoot. They're trained in martial combat. We're not. What are we going to do? Now, I'm not saying give up. I'm not saying you can't train yourself. But what I'm saying is, if you're not training every week, if you're not shooting every week, if you're not knowing how to grow your own food, arguing with me and arguing with the police ain't going to do nothing. Because if we all leave right now, if we all leave right now and we got a speeding ticket, we ain't all going to agree not to pay it. You understand what I'm saying? I agree we still slaves. I'm telling you right now today, Malcolm said by any means necessary. By any means necessary. And we're talking about children. We're talking about young men. These boys aren't even intelligent enough yet not to know what girl not to like. They're not even intelligent enough yet not to know how to, I always should have a condom. They're not even intelligent enough yet to know not to argue with their teachers. Don't send these babies off to die because you didn't die when you was 21. Don't you send these babies off to die because you feel like you missed the 60s and the 70s. I want to see more black attorneys, more black law enforcement. I want to see more black people pooling their money to run their own candidates. I want to see more black police officers that are from the neighborhood, because I'm telling you, they tried to leave one time and they formed Liberia. Look at Liberia now. Look at what Haiti did. They revolted. Every European country punishes Haiti for revolting. So if you're not going to revolt tomorrow, if you're not going to do like Elijah said and take all the southern states, if you're not going to gentrify Alabama, stop trying to grow warriors to fight a fight you too scared to fight. You pay your speed tickets. You ain't not paying your tickets. You ain't telling kids how to bust out every car window. And then when they riot, you never there with them. When they riot, where's the church? Where are the teachers? Where are the institutions? So I'm just saying, you do what you want to. But as for me and my house, I'm going to raise a warrior that knows how to use his hands, knows how to use his mind, and loves the people with his heart. Your job is to survive the encounter. Survive the encounter. And when daddy gets there with a lawyer, when daddy makes sure you got a judge that looks like you, we'll deal with that other shit. But you survive the encounter, young man. Don't you die on the side of the goddamn street like a dog.